Mobileye is effectively the market leader in picks and shovels, tier one autonomous driving supply to massive legacy car manufacturers. Now, they're an Israeli-based company that have been doing this for an awfully long time, and their flagship product are their cameras, but they also have extremely sophisticated mapping software and their own AI chips, which all seamlessly integrate together. And then Mobileye sell this as a package to car manufacturers to help their vehicles become more fully autonomous. Now, they have four main types of products. So they have their ADAS, which is their advanced driver assist system. So this is effectively what you'd call level 1, level 2 in fields of autonomy. So they have some features that they can be done autonomously, like cruise control, lane changes, some sort of highway driving, but nothing too complex. Then you have supervision, which is a big step up. So supervision is much more like level 3. And they have a complete supervision product, which is basically completely level 3. Yeah, your hands off completely and your eyes on just need to be there to sort of be as a backup to the system in case something goes wrong and you need to take over human control for certain areas. And then chauffeur is getting towards their level 4 or the very high end of level 3, where effectively you can be eyes off as well as hands off, and this gives back time to the driver. So I mentioned in my last video, a massive value proposition for autonomous driving is you freed up your time and you can be productive in the car without having to consciously watch the road and like this external stimuli draining your energy. That is an excellent proposition. They're not quite at chauffeur yet. And then they have their drive, which is full level 4/level 5 autonomy, mobility as a service. So in terms of where they are within this product line, one thing that is very important to note about Mobileye is investing in them would be an extremely long-term proposition. What I mean by that is the vast majority of their revenue still comes from this driver assist that we can see on the left-hand side. Now, if you want a rough barometer for how complex or how advanced they are, the average ADAS system is only $50. But when you go to supervision, we're talking $1,500, and chauffeur is $3,000. And that's because of primarily what the system can do and what the system entails. So you can see for very basic ADAS, it consists of one camera, or at least this is true as of Mobileye's CES presentation in 2023. It just consists of the one front-facing camera, and they have one of their more basic chips. Then supervision, if you look at full ODD supervision, that contains 11 cameras, all suited, to pick up different perceptions and pick up different things with better degrees of granularity, and also multiple chips. So you need more computing power for effectively a more accurate map to be built on the road, for it to be completely hands-off. And then it's the same thing, so chauffeur builds an even more comprehensive picture, and then you've got their full drive mobility as a service option. Would you like to have your username shouted out and your comment/question answered by me directly in the next video? All you have to do is you have to correctly guess and comment the country that I'm in, which is portrayed behind me, and I will answer your question and read out your name in a future video. Now, yeah, the vast majority of their revenue still comes from this ADAS system. And we can see that because in Mobileye's most recent quarter, they only reported $53.3 in an average system price. Now, if ADAS is 50, there's very few people actually taking that supervision option right now. With Mobileye, it's all about the pipeline. You can see here, this is from, again, their presentation for early 2024. They do one really thorough presentation that gives a whole overview of their business. They do others as well. But if you type in CES, Charlie Echo Sierra, into YouTube and watch his presentations, these give you a really lovely overview of exactly what Mobileye do. So you can see that their revenue pipeline was pretty big for 2023. And that average system price should be starting to take off. Emphasis on the should be. You can see here, this is their actual supervision and chauffeur pipeline. They've got a lot of work from Geely, Porsche, FAW, and there's also a Western OEM, which I'm 90% sure is Volkswagen, though it hasn't been formally disclosed. throughout 17 different models have not only going to be adopting Supervision 62, but also Chauffeur 63. But you can see from the estimated launch dates that most of these are coming in 2025, 2026. And until then, Mobileye will still be primarily selling a single camera solution in order to sort of gradually help drivers. But they are very, very well positioned. On the other hand, they are very well positioned for this trend. Mobileye will do extremely well if the legacy OEMs get extremely paranoid, because Waymo and Tesla and some others, but I mean, those guys are pretty much the leaders right now. They'll get extremely paranoid that Waymo and Tesla are making significant headway, and people start to demand more and more autonomy within their driving experience, particularly if the government start to see, okay, Waymo is becoming safer and safer and safer, and it's actually leading to a significant reduction in crashes and fatalities on the roads. Then they will start to regulate more stringent driving practices for these companies. Now, whether that will happen quickly enough for Mobileye to benefit is a big question. So going from selling a $50 solution to an average of a $1,500 solution, that gives Mobileye a much wider economic moat. So their moat is expanding and it deepens that customer relation. As much as there are only these few OEMs that have supervision, you can actually see that the companies that are working within the ADAS segment, so that their most basic solution, there were over 300 models launched. And if you look at it by company, you can see, honestly, look here, the vast majority of car manufacturers are at least working with Mobileye in some capacity. From the top 10 automobile manufacturers in the world, 8 of them are on this list. Number 2 through 9, they're all on this list for at least using Mobileye's basic system. What this allows Mobileye to do, obviously, is because it already has deep relationships with these suppliers, it allows it to basically spend a lot of money on research and development, which is what it needs to do, and very minimal revenue on sales and marketing. One concern is Zeekr, that was the first company to adopt supervision. They have now switched to in-house manufacturing. Now, when Mobileye released this next CES presentation, which will be in January of 2025, it's incredibly important to see this next supervision and chauffeur pipeline, because pretty much all of these deals that it has referenced on here were from 2023. And we will see in the January 2025 presentation, their deals from 2024. We want to start to see that average system price materialize and go upward, because a couple of these are 2025, right? But we're not really going to actually see it materialize. What we want to see is we want to see a greater variety in the pipeline and a greater variety of car manufacturers actually opting for chauffeur. If Trump is relaxing regulation on this because he is buddying up with Elon Musk, that's great for the industry. And the more there are demands for these kind of products, and we've seen a lot of demand for these products through Tesla sales. You know, Tesla is the fastest growing Western automotive company, and they're also the most innovative in this realm. That is where Mobileye really start to benefit. If autonomous driving slows down, which for the moment it's not, and you can see my previous video, and more companies have more time to develop these solutions in-house, and Mobileye have very good solutions. You know, their CEO, Amnon Shashua, has been doing this for pretty much all of his working life, and he's been running Mobileye for 25 years. And this is the team deeply committed to actually crystallizing the benefits of full self-driving. It's just a question of, do they have much, you know, they don't have a long vertical. They don't own a vertical in this industry. It's more just like Mobileye, the picks and shovels. Yes, they can sell this system and potentially do very well if the companies don't have enough time to develop at least a sufficient alternative in-house. So yeah, the theory with Mobileye is like their main drivers of revenue, more cars and more models using Mobileye solution. And if we see in that January 2025 presentation, more companies segueing towards supervision or even chauffeur, their total addressable market is going to be massive. And I like the diversity in companies that are at least using Mobileye's basic solution. They do have a lot of diversity there in the pipeline, but in terms of actually customer concentration, because there's only a couple that are coming onto supervision and that are working with Mobileye really deeply, yeah, 3 of their customers account for 62% of revenue. And what we really want to see is we really want to see more companies working with Mobileye on a deeper level, and that will give me more confidence that Mobileye are going to benefit massively from the trend in full self-driving. This is also a company where you need to invest with an incredibly long time frame, and it is not one of those companies where, you know, oh, you make your 20% return in a year and then sell out. It's very much not one of those companies at all. The good news is that they are making consistent revenue. They had an inventory problem where legacy manufacturers were worried about chip shortages and ended up purchasing too many chips from Mobileye, which then it led to a lot of revenue being front-run, and now they're going to decline year on year, but it's an inorganic issue. It's not an issue with their organic demand. But yeah, building a basic DCF of analyst projections and looking at where their free cash flow margins are, which have historically been really, really high. If they grew their turnover at 20% every single year from 2026 until 2032, the shares are currently worth $19 on my DCF. That is a very, very optimistic target, but one that is incredibly achievable if they start to win real supervision deals with more and more customers without those customers having the time to build it in-house. And for that, I believe that the key advantage is that autonomous driving takes off quickly. People realize all of the benefits of it that I've mentioned in my previous video. Governments are more stringent about safety and say, look, these cars really need it. There's demand for, firstly, people being able to relax and take their hands off the wheel, particularly after a long day at work, and then eventually taking their eyes off the wheel and being productive, you know, in other areas of their life whilst they're driving. That is where Mobileye wins. The last thing to mention is they do operate out of Israel as well, which does add to the risk because of geopolitical uncertainty. I do have a small position, but I'm not looking to increase it until I see more concrete evidence that supervision is taking off in 2025. And at least with Israel, they don't actually have any manufacturing in Israel, but I just worry about human capital being disrupted because they have stated on the company that 9% of their workforce are currently enlisted in the IDF, and they're losing those kind of numbers. So it doesn't come without its disruption either, particularly when Israel is a small country and obviously their HQ is not far away from a major war. Anyway, that's what I want to say about Mobileye. Interesting company. The proof will be in the pudding, but it's certainly one to watch to play the autonomous driving industry over the coming years.